young man in Barcelona. My very, very first night in Barcelona, actually, and what better guide than Mark Arnold? Maybe not. We have a show in Barcelona tomorrow, but flying early, which means a day off and a nice dinner. Our hotel appears to be rather grand on first sight, but my room is disappointingly tiny and grey. It's my first time here, and I want to go out and explore, but I've heard dodgy reports of Barcelona. It's so dangerous. People mug you on the Ramblas. Most of the women are men in disguise and don't wear jewellery. People will rip it from your body and kill you. So I stay in my room and watch Spanish TV. That evening after dinner, Mark insists we go to a late night bar called Club Baghdad. So we hop in taxis, ending up in the red light area. What did you expect? The club is rather unappealing from the outside and looks more like an Indian restaurant than a nightclub. A flight of stairs leads down to a basement guarded by surly-looking door staff, a peroxide blonde with a puffy face who looks like she hasn't slept in weeks, and a male counterpart who looks like one of the people who would rip the jewellery from your body then kill you. Admission is stupidly expensive, and I hand over a large wad of pesetas before descending the stairs, ending up in a barely lit, gloomy room, rows of seats laid out before a tiny stage, no more than 18 inches high and about 8 feet wide. It becomes apparent that this is a cabaret club, and I'm transported to Christopher Isherwood's Berlin of the 1930s and realise this could be fun. Either that or I'm going to be murdered in the toilets. At the bar we hand over even more money, and with ridiculously overpriced drink in hand I peer into the gloom. Mark is already seated in the front row, waving over for us to join him. We sit down and wait. The room gradually fills up with seedy looking gents and women that look suspiciously like they've been paid to sit with the men. Everyone is smoking and the room is cast in the blue gauze of nicotine. Loud music begins, and with a sweep and swish of frilly lace and satin, our host for the evening appears on stage. She, or maybe he, appears surgically altered, possibly using a DIY home surgery kit. She speaks with the same swish and shimmer as her frock, voice ascending and descending with breathless excitement. She introduces the evening in a tornado of Spanish until fixing her gaze upon us with a mixture of intrigue and pity. She says something to the audience in a loud stage whisper, which causes a flurry of laughter, then turns back to us and explains in very sincere English, "Me gay." and then, as if to clarify, flattens her hands against her chest and says, "Me gay, no tits." As No Tits leaves the stage, a curtain drops to reveal a large tangle of ropes in the shape of a spider's web, and two women dangling precariously. They begin to climb about on the ropes, taunting each other provocatively, writhing around on top, beneath and in between one another in simulated arachnid sex, if such a thing exists. They claw at each other's clothing, eventually revealing large, rounded melon breasts, which remain round whichever way up they are, like big flesh-coloured cantaloupes. They keep this clumsy tarantella up until one spider kills the other and scuttles off stage, leaving the dead one hanging. A scene change, and we are presented with a blindfolded man and a woman who proceed to copulate in front of us with as much passion as someone putting up the bins on a Tuesday night. The man changes position frequently while the woman looks as if she's trying to remember where she left her purse. We laugh, nervous laughter perhaps, but this is certainly more comedic than sexy. Fornication dispensed with, our host reappears, now resplendent in a slinky new frock with a seriously plunging neckline for someone with no tits. And she treats us to a comedy routine in Spanish, which is obviously lost on us. She moves across the front of the stage, mischief in her eyes, grabs Mark's hand and places it between her legs, whereby Mark shrieks with laughter. Okay, I'm guessing it's definitely a man. She tries to do the same with Annie Hogan, who is completely appalled, pulling away, hand away in horror. This time we all shriek with laughter. More drinks, more smoke, more seedy-looking punters, but at least now I don't feel like I'm going to be bumped off in the bog. 3 exotic dancers are on stage. It's the 2 spider women, plus another who looks alarmingly similar. Maybe they are erotic, exotic triplets. How proud their mother must be. They dance and sashay about the stage, all pouting lips and provocative shapes, lowering their tops to reveal rock-hard melon breasts again, continuing back and forth in this manner before lining up across the front of the stage, gently gyrating, building up to a tantalising finale. The middle dancer, who I'm fairly certain is the dead Spider Woman, lowers her skirt to reveal rather neat-looking, clean-shaven lady parts. The outer two follow in similar motion, teasingly lowering their garments for the big reveal, but this time there are no clean-shaven lady parts. Instead, they flop out big, dangly cocks, causing uproar from the crowd. Now this I was not expecting. Aside from flicking through Anarcoma comics that Mark would bring to the studio, I thought chicks with dicks were a thing of fantasy, not a reality that was quite literally being waved in front of my eyes. I begin to understand the exorbitant admission cost. A brief but clumsy scene change reveals a heart-shaped bed. On it, a woman is lying on her front, pretending to be asleep. Or maybe she is asleep. The curtain at the back of the stage begins to flap clumsily as if someone or something is trapped behind it, and eventually out pops a tiny fellow, no more than 3 feet tall. He is dressed, naturally, as a Smurf. Blue Smurf hat, blue face, white knickerbockers and a white Smurf hat. He runs about the stage on tiny legs while Smurf music plays over the sound system. There is something so completely fucking insane about this. Eventually becoming tired and tearing about the stage, the Smurf hops onto the bed and begins to take an unhealthy interest in the sleeping woman. This is not the Sleeping Beauty, it's just the Snow White story I remember my mother telling. The Smurf tugs at his belt and unbuttons his little blue knickerbockers. And we gasp. But what the Smurf lacks in height, he makes up for 100 times over in other areas, and his eye-wateringly huge appendage rises up and down like an elephant's trunk as he clambers about on the bed, eventually inserting his monstrous chorizo into poor Snow White, who, amazingly, doesn't wake up. We watch aghast. The action doesn't last long, but thankfully, and deed done, Snow White wakes up, and she and Mega Smurf take a bow and depart the stage. You don't get off that lightly, I'm afraid. Just a drink of water. And with that, the show finishes. We all file out, wondering what the fuck just happened. Mark is delighted, giggling, eyes twinkling with mischievous glee. I'm absolutely thrilled to have witnessed such depravity and vowed to bring everyone I know to Club Baghdad. This is just one of the many nights that I can recall, and there were more. But within a few years, Mark and I were to part ways musically, and it would be many years before we were to meet again. Fast forward to 2004. I've just performed with Susie at the Royal Festival Hall. Mark has been at the show and is coming backstage. It's been 16 years and I'm equally excited and anxious about meeting him after so long. I sit in the dressing room and wait, but Mark doesn't turn up. The next morning, the news kiosk at the end of my street screams a headline, "Pop star in horror crash." I'm still staring at the headline when my phone rings and I'm given the news that it was Mark. Fast forward to 2012, back at the Royal Festival Hall, sitting on a black vinyl bench, once again, waiting for Mark to turn up. This time to discuss performing Torment and Toreros for the Meltdown Festival, which was being curated by Anthony from Anthony and the Johnsons. Torment and Toreros is the first album I ever worked on back in 1983. Back in my music college days, orchestra rehearsals by day, dashing to Trident Studios by night, working until 2 a.m. before heading out to the Batcave or the Camden Palace or to Skin 2, a rather tame fetish club down a back alley beside the London Astoria, long since demolished. I would arrive home wired or drunk at 6 a.m, sleep for 2 hours, go back to college and start all over again. Torment and Toreros, a sprawling double album of around 20 songs, has since, against all odds, become legendary. a seminal record for goths, geeks, gays and misfits across the world, and those of you who saw that performance of the album in its entirety at the Meltdown, some of you here tonight maybe, well, you witnessed something magical and something that will probably never be seen again. For Mark and I, it was a new beginning, the next episode of musical collaboration. Fast forward to 2016, the story, the adventure continues, creativity thriving. Tonight, we sit in an Italian restaurant in Manchester after a show. We are extremely noisy. I take a moment to look around me. Pianist Martin Watkins is laughing loudly with friends. Guitarist Neil X is holding court at another table, and drummer Tim Wheeler is arguing with the waiter, refusing to pay his bill because a waitress has spilled candle wax all over his new jacket. And beside me, completely oblivious to the rest of us, sit Mark and my wife and musical partner Kimberly, who are laughing hysterically, remembering scenes and quoting lines from John Waters' movie Female Trouble. And in particular, the scene where Dawn Davenport, played by Divine, is with her daughter Taffy, who has just been asked to suck her father's cock. I catch Mark and Kimberly just as they sheep Taffy's response to her father. I wouldn't suck your cock if I was suffocating and there was oxygen in your balls. All this to the horror of the restaurant staff. It is, however, an absolutely wonderful moment and one that I can happily allow to go on forever. Thank you, Mark, for being the one that opened so many doors and for always being such a true artist. My biggest love to Mark and to Jamie McLeod for this evening. Thank you very much.